Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC, CNBC, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, and many, many more. Because I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And that's why I bring you good news. And today I have 3 great stories, technically 2. One's Betty White and the dedication, the tribute of a particular part of the zoo that she was a grand supporter of, and I didn't realize she was a trustee of the LA Zoo, as well as a little footage of her home, and of course, shouldn't be surprising, very unassuming house, but with beautiful yellow shutters. And then my own Dr. Martin Luther King Day story when I was on location, and that will be after the first break. And then after the bottom of the hour, we're going to have, because I got so much love for bringing Gerald Rivers on for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And, you know, we cannot limit peace and kindness to one day. And because you love Gerald, I'm bringing another speech of his and his own story, which is a testament to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King as well. So that's today's show. It is January the 18th. I'm so excited to tell you that for the deliciousness of life today, there are 2 items for you to sample and enjoy. One is from my Chinese roots, and that's Beijing duck. And if you've never had that dish, it is delicioso. I love it so much. The other one is National Gourmet Coffee Day. So, because it is National Gourmet Coffee and National Beijing Duck Day, please enjoy. Finally, it is Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, na 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 na. Yes, it's National Winnie the Pooh Day. And just loving the stories that bring me back to my childhood. And you know, Winnie and Christopher were also preaching the gospel of Martin Luther King. Kindness, peace, peace of heart, and peace of mind. And that's my wish for you today, the day after Martin Luther King Day, and for the rest of the days of your life. Now, as promised, here is the mayor of Los Angeles, and I was so honored to be approached by his aide and said, do you want to have a little soundbite with him? But unfortunately, I had run to the next story, so I didn't get a chance to say hello. But I loved his words about Betty White, so enjoy. And when we come back, we're going to have another great story.
Creating all this positive sort of energy, and it's so, what a life to live.
That's the kind of life I am trying to live. Yeah. She's a great role model.
Something feels a little incomplete here today, not just at the zoo, but in Los Angeles. And that's the loss of an angel here in the City of Angels, our dear friend, Betty White. I know we are all looking forward to celebrating 100 years with her, but heaven called her a couple weeks early. And I've been here so many times with Betty. I know Tom LaBonge, another angel who we lost in the last year, we just marked the 1-year anniversary of his passing, first introduced me to Betty and introduced me to her love of this place, both this zoo and of Los Angeles, a city she came to when she was just 2 years old, or the way that she was a powerful advocate for animals. Her involvement with the zoo began in 1966, at the very beginning when this zoo opened. And there's no better place for this kind of memorial to her than at the LA Zoo here and this plaza named after Betty's late husband and great love. In fact, it's been reported that the last word she said was Alan, and I hope that they are together today. And I know that we will all miss her, but may her memory always be a blessing to this city and to this world, to this zoo, to all living things on this planet.
Thank you for supporting Actors and Others for Animals. We started a long, long time ago. So when you find an organization like Actors and Others for Animals, it sort of unites all of those of us who want to pay back something for all the joy we get out of animals. Please keep up the good work. Believe me, it's deeply appreciated.
And highlight some people who care and are doing things practically to help make our Southland a little safer and a little more united through skates and more. When we come back on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, including my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you will get a new show every weekday morning, as well as access to my new short film, PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities, and of course, my red carpet playlist, interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, and Quincy Jones. And as promised, I'm bringing you a story now, and I'm going to share the first part of the story, which is actually my own MLK moment. I was running around. I had 3 stories between 8:30 and 10:45. In Bel Air, LA Zoo, Griffith Park, and then Watts. So that's a lot of driving for those of you who are not from LA. It's like 3 different countries if I was in Europe. And my coffee had gone through and I had not had a post-coffee break, if you get my drift. So by the time I got to the 3rd event and was waiting for the United Skate for Martin Luther King Day, I really needed to visit either McDonald's or a Starbucks to use their restroom, but there was none in sight and I had to get the B-roll. So there were some police there that I was waiting with as we were waiting for the skaters to come through. And I mentioned my dilemma to one of the officers and he said, well, I can ask someone to have you go and use their restroom in a house if you would like to go. And I'm like, in someone's house, a stranger's house. And he said, well, you know, they know me here. This is my beat. They've known me for years, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind letting you use the restroom. And I said, okay, of course I would go, but I couldn't imagine someone opening their doors. I'm thinking to myself, where in Long Beach or Huntington Beach would someone actually do that? So he knocked on the gate, and sure enough, a very nice woman came to the door. He asked her in Spanish if I could use the baños, And she said, absolutely, escorted me in. And I don't think the full meaning of what had happened hit me until afterwards when I was writing up the story for social media. And I was, I covered the story, and you're going to hear that story next. But for me, the real story was this example of a policeman. And we had talked at some length about how unfair some of the stories were and what the main news networks run, the sensational, the shooting, the killing, the corruption. And here this officer has been working, I forgot how many years he told me, and he has a relationship, and they look out for each other. The police look out for the community look out for the police, and they all want a safe neighborhood for the kids to play in. And I found out afterwards that the park that we were doing the event at was the cross-section between 3 different gangs. And yet, and you'll hear from the story, here are some people who were fair-skinned coming to people of color's neighborhood to help with a second grader. And that story touched my heart as well. But I wanted to share with you first my own MLK experience, and I just loved it. So thank you, Officer Roberto Yanez, for showing me that there is hope, that Dr. King's legacy does live and breathe in South LA. Now, enjoy the story.
My name is Adam Lowe. I am Isabella's dad, and this is just amazing to have a community coming together on Martin Luther King Day. I think he would be proud to see us all together. And I want to first thank LAPD, LA County Sheriffs, the Los Angeles School Police for coming here. It shows that we all patrol different areas and different parts of this community, but we all have one goal, and that's to keep the kids safe, to make sure that they can walk to school safely, to make sure they can ride the train safely, to make sure that they can be in school safely. And I thought it would be inappropriate for me to quote Dr. King, but I thought a lot about what I wanted to say today. And Martin Luther King is that he showed up every time, whether it was Selma or Washington, he showed up. When it was hard, he showed up. When it was raining, he showed up. And that's the kind of commitment it's going to take to take back our streets, to stop the gun violence, to keep the kids safe, to make sure that Los Angeles in 2028 is the example of unity and greatness in the United States. Senior Lead Officer Roberto Yanez of the Los Angeles Police Department. He is an example for every person in this city, every child, every person who doesn't feel safe. He is what we hope that our communities will be, the communities will be protected by. So Isabella has created a certificate of appreciation for commitment to community for Senior Lead Officer Robert Yanez. And I just want to thank him for everything he's done, because this is our 5th event here, and it's all because of him. Because he protects this community, and he came in to help us clean it up, and we're going to come back and get this cleaned up. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. King! We're thankful for all that he's done for the future. And all right, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday.
Get the party up!
Good
morning. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm here in downtown LA with two beautiful youngins who are here celebrating Martin Luther King Day with a very important event. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves and tell me why you're here.
My name is Isabella. My name is Peter.
And what are you doing here today?
We're doing an event for Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday to celebrate how hard he worked.
Oh, and?
To have fun.
When you think of Martin Luther King, what do you think of?
I think of happiness and hope. And kindness.
Beautiful. So I understand this is a school project for you.
I don't really know.
Oh, okay.
Neither.
All right. So I do this at the end of every show. Can you do this with me? Peace in.
Peace in.
Peace out.
Peace out.
World peace.
World peace.
Through inner peace.
Through inner peace.
This is Dr. Marissa reporting live with two wonderful examples of what's important with our young'un and the messages that they bring.
We're going to cake!
Oh, Dad, how did this all come about?
So this all came about when after the George Floyd murder, Isabella, we were trying to explain to Isabella about the protest and what all that meant and why people were protesting. And being a skateboarder, she skates with kids all over from every different racial background, and it's not a factor really for her on the skate park, so she didn't understand. So we started talking about it, and she basically said, I want to do things to unite people together through kindness. And I said, okay. And so my wife and I started talking about how we could do that. And while we were doing that, we reached out to the LAUSD to talk about how we could get Isabella tested for GATE. And because of Corona, they were backed up with their COVID testing, or excuse me, with their GATE testing for the gifted program. But they told us if Isabella could do a leadership project or a dance project or whatever that was, that she could become GATE certified or designated. And so Isabella had been doing philanthropy through her skateboarding for quite a bit. And so we decided, based on Isabella's idea of uniting the people in Los Angeles, to create something called the Unite LA Foundation. And we had planned on doing something very small to start out with, a couple of women who were victims of domestic violence. And we thought we'd teach skateboarding because it helps build confidence and things like that. And what ended up happening is at our first event, we had it at the West LA skate space at the courthouse. And when we did our site walk, it was covered in a homeless encampment remnant. So there were mattresses and needles and all that stuff. And we realized that there was a broader need here. So we reached out to the county and to the city and asked them to clean it up. And surprisingly, they were able to clean up the skate space in 3 days, which, you know, we don't hear about. We hear about these things taking months and months and months, but the reality is it can be done in 3 days. And we had our first event, and what was supposed to be just a couple people ended up being a couple hundred people. And Sheriff Villanueva, who was a huge supporter of Isabella, showed up and skated with her, and she taught him to skate. And when it was broadcast on social media, between her social media and his social media, across platforms, it got well over 100,000 hits. And we had our next event in Duarte, and we had more people come out, and it just expanded like all great things into what you see today, which is a community of law enforcement, a community of healthcare providers, a community of skateboarders.
You have like serious, you have every faction of the LAPD, the sheriff, the tactical unit. I was surprised and happy.
Yeah, and we did that specifically because LAPD patrols the park. TSB, who we have here with patrols the trains, and of course LA School Police patrol the schools. And so we have to start talking about how we come together unified to take back our streets. You know, the sad part of this is that we weren't able to announce that to the community for fear that we would have protesters or other factions who hate police showing up. And it's tragic because here in Holly Mitchell's 2nd District, we have had murder after murder after murder for the first part of the year. We had the worker at Taco Bell. We had the woman behind the furniture store. We had Officer Roberto. We had Superior Market. There was a party. Every single day, what we hear about is murder and killing in Holly Mitchell's district. And it's got to stop. And if that starts with a 7-year-old skater bringing the world together in South LA, then that's where it's going to happen. If you look around, we have all of the people who support safety, but Joe's not here. The person who represents this area is not here. Holly Mitchell is not here. And Stephanie Wiggins from Metro is not here. And these are the people we have to insist are taking care of not only the community, but our kids. We give our kids free rides on trains to school, and they have to have police escorts just to get to the trains. So, you know, safety is what we're about. And we are, you know, Isabella has really honed her message down to clean, safe public spaces for kids to play and thrive. And we're going to be talking about that a lot throughout the year. And this doesn't stop on Martin Luther King Day. Service doesn't stop today. Service is something that we need to talk about every day. This is Human Trafficking Month, but we can't stop talking about human trafficking in February.
Right.
We have to keep talking about it then. Domestic violence every single day.
Yeah.
Making sure that our streets are safe for our kids every single day. So we're really proud to be out here. We appreciate that the community has allowed us to do this. And you know, it's one of the things that people don't realize for something like this is that when we decided to come down to this community, we weren't sure if people would accept us for many reasons, but one of them was the color of our skin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you don't hear that from people who look like me every day. But it's that...
Do you live in this area?
I don't. We live in Calabasas. The way we...
because your wife was saying this particular park is the line between two rival gangs.
Yeah. So 3 actually.
Oh, geez.
The bounty hunters are over on this side, and then different factions of the Crips are on this side. And one of the things that we did in this park is we worked with a gentleman named Cartoon. He'll be here later, who's a reformed bounty hunter, and is probably one of Isabella's biggest supporters. And he has really made it so that we can be here. Officer Yanez has made it so we can be here.
Is he the one that you brought up to thank?
Officer Yanez.
So you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
So I was waiting for this gig to start. This is my 3rd one today.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the bathroom. I had my coffee this morning.
Yeah.
I mentioned it to him. He got a resident to open her home to let me go and use the baños.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
How does that happen here?
It happens here because what you hear on the news is a fallacy.
Yes. That's why
nobody's out protesting. The police. I have more police here than probably congregate anywhere.
I know.
They're not even police; it's law enforcement.
They're all. I'm zooming up because I mean, there's more here than I saw at any other MLK event.
Yeah, and you know the amazing part about it is that when you hear about all this anti-police stuff, it's coming from Melina Abdullah, who makes $100,000 plus a year, from Holly Mitchell, who makes $100,000 plus a year. They live in Crenshaw. They don't live in Watts. They don't live in West Athens or Vermont Square. Those people realize that they need the police to be safe.
Because of all that you do and all that you just shared with me, I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. I don't give it to many people, but just for the fact that you are the color that you are and that you come here and teach your child to care. That's why I'm giving you the award.
Isn't that amazing? I just absolutely am so impressed with people who really hashtag be the change. And today is no exception. I hope you enjoyed that story and you support UnitedFoundation.com. You guys really enjoy Gerald Rivers. That's all I heard about yesterday. So I'm bringing you again, Gerald Rivers. When we come back on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Station, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere because I want as many platforms possible to splatter more hope and happiness. And as promised, here is Gerald Rivers, my friend, the orator, the man who came straight out of Compton and is doing so much good work. Enjoy.
I grew up in Compton, and Compton's only 5 miles wide and 7 miles long. When you're between the ages of 12 and 16, and that's all you see, you believe that every teenager on the face of the planet has an existence like that. Mm-hmm. And so it was my world. It was my existence. And there was an opportunity for me to excel in that particular hierarchy because we were already poor. We were already angry, and few of us were actually afraid of dying. And so it was almost like
we're not afraid.
We're not afraid of dying.
Okay.
Well, no, few were actually afraid.
Oh, okay.
Because our situation already appeared so bleak, and then you would watch television and you would see the Brady Bunch and these situations that were so starkly different from our reality that anything would be better than this.
Right.
So we were willing to risk life and liberty. Okay. And we knew people who had gone to jail and got out, and in our minds, our perception was they were fine.
Right.
So if
it's not
if that's what happened to you, you would survive that as well. I now
not
know.
A return.
Right. I now know even death, if that happened to you, the truth is we would survive that as well. But there was nothing to fear, and there was a community, and it's almost like being in the military. There's a camaraderie that builds among young men who are willing to fight. And I think about it now, that's the only time in my life where there were a group of people, no matter where they came from, who I knew were willing to sacrifice their freedom and their life for my honor. Not just to protect my physical being, but if someone spoke ill of me, those people would come to my defense, even if it meant their own demise. And so there was something about that was very bonding. You know, the ace coom boom, your womb to the tomb. People that you knew since you were small kids, and now you were gently becoming men because you were being forced to grow up so rapidly that it seemed
the power
cool
of that
and the
connection
thing to do.
That power of belonging to something.
Because otherwise you really felt like you were out there by yourself. And there were some people in the hood who were not prone to join gangs, but if another rival gang or neighborhood knew that that's where you lived and they approached you or attacked you, you sort of had a choice. I can go to the people in my neighborhood and say, they hurt me, they violated me. And those guys would come to my aid, but then I would be eternally indebted to them. Because they would say the next time another person is in trouble or is wronged or is brutalized, you then have an obligation to come to their aid as well. So you make a choice about whether or not you're even going to ask for help from your neighbor, because there is a price to pay.
And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because you've taken all of those experiences and now you are so interested in helping the youngin.
Oh, here.
In the jail system, as well as in
as
the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most important thing that a teenager who is being raised, or that's all they see, that limited amount, and that's what it is, what do you say to them now?
That you have everything you need already inside of you. That there's nothing that your mom or the neighborhood or the community can give you that you don't already have. And once you realize that you did not come to the planet Earth to get anything, that you came to release what is within you, it is what will liberate you. Then there's nothing that those other people, enemies, friends, foes, whatever label you give them, that will have power and dominion over you. And that's really what we want: freedom, and we want power and dominion over our own lives. So and most of those young men that I've talked to are saying, you know, my mom this, or my dad is really angry or upset, or my teachers don't respect me, or the people at the church act like they're better than me. And all of that is dealing with things that are outside of yourself. So once you start to deal with what's in me that is presenting that perception for myself, then I can start to heal and deal with that. And then it doesn't matter where I am. Right. And I've met people from Compton all over the world. And so that environment.
Out of Compton.
Oh, yeah. That environment.
Straight Outta
Compton has created and built some really strong individuals. Because part of what it says is, if I can handle and deal with this, I can handle and deal with anything.
Yeah.
I survived. I got out. And here's the important part: I will still go back. It's one thing when we go, I can't wait until I'm away from here and I'll never be back here again. It's something else when I go back every year to the senior center, and my mom, my dad, my brothers, my aunts, and they all still live in Compton. I don't choose to live there, but I have no fear or qualms about visiting and supporting the people who still live there.
Yeah, and for that, you get Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. Because it's, you know, I've had a interesting past as well, and people say to me sometimes, you really don't need to revisit that because you're keeping that vibration alive. And I do understand what they're talking about, and they're doing it because they love me and want to protect me. At the same time, I believe that in life we all go through what we go through, and the key to happiness is getting up and alchemizing through whatever we go through, because then what happens is we have something that when we talk about it, like you're talking about what happened, people will relate, and they go, okay, they do get me. I'm not alone. I haven't been the only one that's gone through this. He does know, and he has a way out, and he's telling me to look within. And that is why Gerald Rivers is on my show today. If you've just tuned in, he is about to get up now and do a little Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for us over there on that mic while I set you up. And this is his third time on. We're celebrating and acknowledging the words of peace, the words of love, the words of nonviolence as he prepares to speak. And I didn't ask him this time for a particular part of Dr. Martin Luther King's words, because it's whatever he needs to. And we've had past shows where I did ask for I Have a Dream. But one of the things we realized today is Dr. Martin Luther King is way more than just I have a dream. So if you want peace of heart and peace of mind, just take a little breath, gently close your eyes, and listen to the words.
The dilemma and the challenge facing the Negro today. You will remember that it was in the year of 1619
when the first Negro slaves landed on the shores of this great nation. They were brought here from the soils of Africa, and the Negro lived amid this system of slavery for 244 years. For all of these years, he was a thing to be used, and not a person to be respected. And even after slavery ended, the Negro realized that he was confronting a new type of slavery, because racial segregation is nothing but slavery covered up with certain niceties of complexity. Now, in spite of the fact that we have lived with physical slavery 244 years, in spite of the fact that we have lived with segregated conditions for almost 100 years, the demands of history require that we be as productive, as resourceful, and as responsible as the people who never had these disadvantages. Here we are as a people, having experienced political domination, economic exploitation, segregation, and humiliation for well now 344 years, and yet the demands of history require that we be as productive and as resourceful as the people who never had these experiences. This is our dilemma. But this dilemma is at one and the same time a great challenge. We are challenged to mobilize our resources. We are challenged to mobilize all of the constructive forces that we can muster and make a creative contribution in the life of our nation. And I would like to suggest this afternoon some of the things that we must do to grapple with this dilemma and meet the challenge of the hour. First of all, we must develop and maintain a sense of dignity and self-respect. We must not allow anybody or any force to make us feel that we do not count. We must believe in our souls that we are worthful, that we are somebody, that we are significant, and we must walk the streets of life every day with this sense of dignity and this sense of somebodyness.
Yes.
People are concerned, let's just say. People are, and it's interesting because King talks about that. He talks about in his day and age, he says people are more worried, more frustrated, more bewildered than in any point of human history. He says the psychopathic wards of the hospitals are full and clouds of anxiety are floating in our mental skies. He's talking about now. It's like so much of what he had to say sounds like he's talking about right now.
Absolutely.
And if I were to remove either ethnic, racial, chronologic, or geographic references, what he said about the Vietnam War could be applied to the war in the Middle East, to the wars that have gone on there.
Right. It's the same, and it's different, but it's the same. And, as it applies, since you opened that door, Saturday I'm doing a women's march in LA, and somebody posted, hate Trump, gathering anti-Trump marches, and I went, oh my God, I hope this isn't on that list, because that is not why I'm marching, because it is, whatever is happening is, as you were saying, it starts in here.
Right.
And the good news about what is happening right now, wherever you are on that political map, the good news is we now have more awareness of where people are at.
Everything in the darkness must come to the light before it can be healed.
Yes,
and there are plenty of open wounds that we're looking for an opportunity to be healed. And everything, I believe, everything that happens is an opportunity for the greatest potential for growth.
Yep, absolutely. You're preaching to the choir.
Here.
You cannot heal something that is dark and infected. You cannot. It's always under that surface, smooth water, sharks below. Now we know what we need to heal, as you were saying, and that's our work. And so hating, doing the same thing that is being done, is not the answer. You can't find a solution when you are using the same energy that's in the problem to try to find a solution.
That is the Kingian philosophy. He says somebody must have sense enough to meet hate with love. Somebody must have sense enough to meet physical force with soul force.
Yes.
And then he's so profound and so prophetic and both poetic at the same time. He says, if we will but try this way, we will be able to change these conditions and yet at the same time win the hearts and souls of those who have kept these conditions alive. Because he says we've got to do that. And people would say, well, that's going to take legislation. I can hear King saying, I know that there are those that say it's going to take education, but he says it's going to take both education and legislation. He says education, we need because that's going to help that man be able to love me. And he says, but the law can keep him from killing me. And I think that's pretty important too.
I love that.
America is essentially a dream. It is a dream of a land where men of all races, of all nationalities, and of all creeds can live together as brothers. The substance of the dream can be expressed in these profound words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, one of the first things we notice about this dream is its amazing universalism. It does not say some men, but it says all men. It doesn't say all white men, but it says all men, which includes black men. It doesn't say all Gentiles, but it says all men, which includes Jews. It doesn't say all Protestants, but it says all men, which includes Catholics. It says all men. And the other thing, it says that there are certain basic rights that are neither conferred by nor derived from the state. In order to discover where they came from, it is necessary to move back behind the dim mist of eternity. They are God-given, gifts from God's hands. And seldom, if ever before in the history of the world, has a socio-political document expressed in such profound, eloquent, and unequivocal language the dignity and the worth of human personality. For the American dream reminds us that all men are the heir of a legacy of dignity. And so today, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Yes.
I have a dream that one day On the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream today. One day, my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, 'tis of thee." Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America's to become a great nation, this must become true. And so, let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghanies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring from every state and every city, from every village and every hamlet, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of that old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Oh my God. And we have had a fabulous show again with Gerald C. Rivers and celebrating the dream and more.
Here.
Thank you.
Of course, there's the website, but I'm easy to find.
Yes.
GeraldCRivers.com.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. There's, I believe, 2 more times. So go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and you can enjoy Gerald Rivers anytime you want from my YouTube channel. And that is it for show number 619. But who's counting? Thank you. No thanks to you. I am the #1 show at 8 a.m. here in the Inland Empire, and only #2 to Bill Handel in Southern California at the #1 talk news station in the IE, KCAA. I hope this is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her loving room here. From her loving room during the pandemic, reminding you that it is all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. And now go forth and multiply the peace that you are. And have the best day ever.